have any other dreams that you wanted?
You know what's funny?
wanted to
It's,
do?
you know how Simon right now, because he's so good at Legos, he said he wanted to be an engineer. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut or an engineer, but I wouldn't have been a very good engineer because engineers have to be really focused on one thing for like study a problem, and it's hard for me to do just one thing. I get bored.
That makes sense. Hello, and welcome to the Curious Builder podcast. I'm your host, May Williams, and today I'm going to be interviewing my dad, Mark Williams, or you may have known him as the Curious Builder.
That's a good intro, man. Good job.
Thank you.
All right. We did this last year. Did we do a Christmas special last year too?
Yes, we did.
All right. So it's time for round 2 with my daughter, May. All right, May, rough me up. What you got?
All right, the first question is about this podcast. How do you decide who to be on this podcast?
That's a great question. So when I first started the podcast 3 years ago, I wanted a lot of the podcasts that I listen to, they have guests that come on, but it's always like remotely on a screen or like a camera. And I enjoy this, like where I can see you, like I can kick you under the table if I want.
Yes.
And it's more fun to have a conversation with like a real live person, right? And so for the first year, all the interviews I did was in person, which meant that most of the people I interviewed were from Minnesota. And now in the couple of years since, I interview lots of people around the country. And in fact, next year, I'm not going to interview anybody in person because we're going to do something called the Smile Tour.
Smile Tour.
Yeah, do you want to know what the Smile Tour is?
It's where you spread smiles all around the world by interviewing them.
I mean, that's kind of right. But the Smile, hopefully we do that too. But it's going to be like if the United States, we're going to start in Washington in Q1, so that's Q1. That's January through March.
Okay.
And so I'm going to interview starting on the West Coast, so Washington, Oregon, and California. And then I'm going to go down to Phoenix, Arizona, New Mexico, Australia, Texas, Florida.
Smiling.
Exactly, smiling. And then up the East Coast. So it's going to create a big smile around the bottom of the United States.
Oh.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's clever. All right. Another question for the Curious Builder. If you have like a lot of houses under like that you're gonna build, do you build them all at one time, or do you finish one and then start the others, or like how do you do it if you have a bunch of houses that you in progress or that you're gonna start?
Yeah, that's a great question, May. So we're a small custom home company, so we do maybe 4 to 7 projects at a time. And most of our projects, our new homes, are between $2 million and say $8 million. So they're really detailed and pretty expensive homes, right? So it's not just any craftsman that you can put in there. They have to be very specialized, really high talent. Mm-hmm. And so we try to avoid having the same house start at the same time. We can have different homes going at different phases because it takes, like we went through Mysa Hus today, right? Your brothers and I, we went and toured and gave pastries to the trimmers.
Yeah.
And we did our handshakes with everyone.
Yep.
Yeah. And so that house is what's called the trimming phase. So the trimmers are putting in all the wood, and pretty soon Rich is going to do all the cabinetry. And so my point is that I wouldn't want another house that's also exactly at the same phase. Does that make sense?
Yes.
But I could do 5 homes at a time at different phases, right? So like in a couple weeks, we're going to start one. So it's called breaking ground. So they'll dig in the snow and we'll do the foundation. So that's concrete, right? And then we'll let that one go for about 30 days. So in 30 days, we can dig the hole, we can get the foundation, we can get all the concrete walls, and then the framers can start framing the house. So you know what the framers are?
They're the people who put like the outside of the windows on the...
Yeah, like all the lumber, all the lumber, right? So they're putting in the trusses and the roof trusses, and they do put in windows too sometimes. So then I'll start another house. So I could probably start a house every 30 days. And then by the fact that they're always at different times in the sequence, I can do 5, 6 projects at one time. But they're all like, someone might be painting a house because I try to use a lot of the same people on the same job. So can you be in 2 places at once?
I could if you took 2 cameras and then, one here, one there. She's in the same place.
No, you can't do that unless you have a twin sister. Wait, do you have a twin sister?
Maybe I do.
So anyway, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. What's your next one?
How long does it take to usually build one of your, like a common house or how long does it usually take to build a house?
Good question. So it depends on how big it is. So if something is more detailed, it's going to take a lot longer, right? So like Mysa Hus
Yeah.
is a really detailed house. But honestly, we're doing that really fast. We're going to do that house in about 11 months, which is pretty fast. That's a 5,300 square foot house. And it's probably one of the most detailed homes I've ever done. If it wasn't that it was Mysa Hus, and if it wasn't, like right now, we don't have a couple jobs under construction. Like that's the only one. So we get to focus all of our attention on one thing. So I think we're going faster because of that. We have 3 or 4 other projects that are all in final design and permitting. So we're kind of waiting for those. Had they started earlier, it probably would have taken us a little bit longer. But right now I can take all my resources and put it on the one house, which is just kind of what's called happenstance.
What would you do if Mysa Hus was like, it hadn't sold, but you had finished it? What would you do with it?
Well, that's a great
yeah.
question, because that's every builder's fear. Let me go back to finishing. So, or your earlier question, which is how long it takes a house.
Yes.
So like we're doing another house that's 8,000 square feet. So almost another 50% bigger than Mysa Hus. That'll take about 16 months to build. But I would say in general, when someone comes to me and says, Mark, we'd like to build a house between $4 and $6 million, it's roughly 4 to 6,000 square feet, somewhere in there. I'll say you can probably plan on 6 to 8 months to design it and probably about a year to build it. So it depends on how complicated it is. But in general, you're about a year and a half between design and building it.
Okay.
Now, your next question is what do I do
if Mysa Hus doesn't sell?
Well, let me ask you, what would you do if the house didn't sell?
I could move in, or I actually don't really have a lot of. No, I don't really know. I've never. No.
Yeah, it's not something a little 9-year-old usually thinks about. So that's a great question. So we've done a lot of things different with Mysa Hus, which means we've created a whole brand around it. We talk a lot about like wellness. You know how like I like to do saunas and exercise and things like that. So,
yes, you do. You love your saunas.
So the house has a lot of wellness things about it, right? So I'm talking about it on the podcast. I'm marketing it. Like today, we met with some architects and we met with like Darren engaged for lunch, and remember we gave the bag away that had those Mysa Hus tiles on it. So we're constantly marketing and talking about it. So my hope is that because I've been talking about it for about 7 or 8 months, and the house is going to take about another 4 or 5 months to build, by the time we're done, hopefully someone will be interested in buying it before we're even done with it. That's the goal. But if it doesn't, it's going to be in what's called the Artisan Home Tour. So that's where it's open to the public, and there'll be thousands of people that pay to come through the house to see it. And as a business, we hope to get other build jobs off of it. Like I hope to meet new clients that are like, oh, I love this house. Could you build me a house? Because that house may be too expensive for somebody.
Yes.
Or maybe it's not their style. Because Mysa Hus is not a style. Mysa Hus is like a philosophy. And so, but if it still doesn't sell, then sometimes you have to wait. And that can be really unnerving. That's kind of like the worst case scenario, because it costs a lot of money for the house just to sit there. Because like you have to borrow money from a bank, or you're paying what's called interest. And so that's a very expensive house. So every month that I don't sell it, it costs me more and more money. But like, you want to hear what like the worst case scenario would be?
Sure.
All right. So the worst case scenario is, let's say we couldn't sell it for a year or 2 years or something. Because I've often joked that we can't afford Mysa Hus. Because you guys have asked me like, Dad, can we move into the house? And so I guess what we'd probably have to do is we would sell our own house, right? We'd maybe sell the cabin land, and we would have to,
Go into Mysa Hus?
Well, that would be great, but no, because that's even more expensive. But my point is our house is worth an amount of money.
Yeah.
We could sell our house to get money, and then we might have to move into a smaller house or a more affordable house that isn't as expensive, right? And then we would use the difference between the expensive house and the less expensive house, and we would use that money to pay the bank some interest so that we could keep it out there. Or you keep lowering the cost of Mysa Hus until somebody buys it. Would you buy Mysa Hus for $1?
No.
What?
I mean, yes, I would.
I would buy it for
I
$1.
said I wouldn't put it on sale for $1.
No, right. No, but my point is like everything will sell at some price. So, right, we're not disclosing what the price is just yet because we're not done with it. But let's say every day I dropped it $1 million. I know, which is crazy, right?
lot.
But right, but
Could do $200 or maybe $100 every time.
right. Well, sure. I mean, that's not the point. The point I'm trying to get to is like eventually I'll lower it till it's such a good deal that someone would want it, right?
Yes.
And there's another strategy. So some real estate agents will deliberately price a house under its value. So like I know this number is safe to share. So like because the land alone is worth $1 million. So let's just say I put it on. Let's say I just told everyone it's for sale for $2 million, and that's a lot of money. But like it's way less than what it actually is, right? And so what you would get is you would get like 10 or 15 people that are like, whoa, that's a great deal. And that's called a bidding war. They start bidding it up. They're like, well, I'll pay you 3. And everyone's like, I'll pay you $3.5 million. And then this guy goes, I'll sell you 4 million, 5 million, 6 million, 7 million. That's what you hope, right? And then because everyone wants it. And so it's called supply and demand. And eventually, whoever gives the most money, then it's their house. So anyway, those are some scenarios.
It's kind of like an auction.
It is exactly like an auction, May. Exactly. That is sometimes. So like, let's say I died, or let's say we moved to another country, or I lost my job or whatever, and the house is still there. Sometimes like if a bank was involved, like the house will actually be owned by the bank, and then the bank does what's called an auction. So let's say I went bankrupt. So let's say Mark Williams Custom Homes went out of business.
Yep.
Let's say I didn't have any money, or let's say we all died in a plane crash, which would be terrible, right? But let's just say that happened. So now you have this house. So what do they do with the house? So it goes to auction, and someone who is an auctioneer will auction the house off, and people can try to buy it. So so you were exactly right that is an auction is also another way to sell a house. You usually don't get the best price that way, because the bank just wants to kind of cover what their cost is. And so it's usually not a good scenario.
All right. Thank you.
Was that more than you wanted for in that question?
Well, first it was, but then I wanted more.
We're happy to announce that on March 20th, we are running Sauna Camp back for its second annual event. It's going to be out in Lake Independence. It's going to be a half-day event. We're going to start with a 1-hour podcast with 3 endurance athletes, someone who's climbed Mount Everest, and the creator of Hostage Tape. We're then going to have 2 hours of sauna and cold plunging in between. We're also going to have Himalayan chocolate from Legacy Chocolates, a good friend of mine, and a chocolate tour from St. Paul. And then we are going to end with FUMO, which is, I like their tagline, in smoke we trust. So if you're interested in community, if you're interested in learning some new experiences and really diving deep on your wellness, we hope you'll join us on March 20th. All the details are on the CuriousBuilderPodcast.com.
Okay. The next one is, what got you into building?
Okay. What got into build? Well, remember Grandpa and Grandma were builders.
Okay. Yep. I do.
Yep.
Remember.
Mom was a designer. Grandma was a designer. Grandpa was a builder. And then like both sides, like Uncle Jeff, he's a builder, and Auntie Holly and Uncle Mike, they did commercial building. So there's a lot of building in our family, right?
A lot of building.
But I knew I did not want to do that because
You
like,
didn't?
well, no, because everyone was doing it, and I just thought it wasn't unique. I kind of like to do my own thing, and so
custom is your own thing.
that's true.
So.
But I didn't want to be a builder because they were builders. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And it's kind of like maybe that like Simon and Tate. You know, you like swimming and gymnastics, but what if Simon and Tate were like, I don't want to do what May does. I want to do something different, because they just don't want to do exactly what you do, right?
Yeah,
it's kind of that idea. So Grandma and Grandpa retired in 2001, and I started in 2005. So 4 years later, I thought, you know what, maybe it would be kind of fun to build a house. So I built a house. Grandpa helped me. I went to an architect that he worked with, or a draftsperson, and we designed a house. And then we built a house and tried to sell it. And I thought, this is so much fun and so rewarding. And I was pretty good at it. And that was it. So I sold I had a car. It was called a silver Jetta. It's like a little Volkswagen Jetta. And I sold it to get a silver truck. So I stayed silver, but I went from a car to a truck. And then I went to school, or got my license to be a builder. And then I started building homes.
All right. I guess. All right. Next one. How would you communicate with someone if they wanted you to build a house, but they didn't speak English, like they spoke another language?
Oh, that would be a good one, May. Well, it's funny. I did you see the new Apple iPods? Did I tell you that?
Oh,
So
those. You
yeah,
get those?
well, I mean, honestly, until just a week ago, I wouldn't have thought about it. But now the new Apple iPods speak, I think, 10 languages. So let's say you spoke Spanish, or I had a Spanish speaking client, or let's pick a hard one like Japanese. What if they didn't speak English, but they spoke Japanese?
Yes.
I could wear that ear pod and they could speak to me in Japanese and I could understand what they're saying in English. And then I could speak back to them in English and it would translate it into Japanese. That's one way, but that's a pretty new technology.
But then you'd have to get them
Yeah.
AirPods too.
Yep, that's a pretty good deal. If they want to build a multi-million-dollar house, AirPods are like $400. That's a good deal.
Those
Or
are like 200
okay.
for those.
Or the other idea would be you could hire a translator. So that's what they did before that technology existed. Right? So you can hire someone to, in this case we'll say it's someone from Japan, and I would hire a translator and that would just be part of the custom build. So anytime we met with that client, I would have the translator in the rooms with us and they would help, they would speak between us.
Oh, okay. You have it all planned out. I didn't know you even thought about that. All
Well, I
right.
did think about that, but that's how you asked me how would I solve it, and so that's how I would solve it.
Are there some common problems or just problems that you run into when you're building houses?
Yep, there is a lot of problems. I think the biggest problem is probably communication. And so I think the most important thing probably in life actually is communication, right? So I mean, like when mom tells me to pick some stuff up from the grocery store and I forget, or when you say, Dad, can you remember to sign me up for a gymnastics meet? I mean, that's communicating,
Yes.
right? So in building a custom homes, there's thousands of decisions. There's hundreds of companies, hundreds of people that you're scheduling, right? And so you met Mike Lawagi, or you've met him many times, but Mike is our project manager. And have you met Angie before?
Yep, I have.
Yep. So Angie's the project coordinator. So she helps work on all the money, right? Because we could schedule everybody, but what if all the contracts aren't right? Right? Or what if we agree not to pay somebody? Or what if there's a lot that goes into it because I have to hire somebody.
Yep.
So I have to make sure their insurance is right. I have to make sure that all the things that they're going to show up on time, that they can even take the job, that we have it in our budget to pay them, all those
Yep.
kinds of things. And then Mike has to actually schedule them. Like, please, like the trimmers you met today, there was 5 trimmers today on Mysa Hus, right?
Yep.
And so Mike said, hey, I'm scheduling you from December 15th through January 17th. And in those, let's say 5 or 6 weeks, it's their job to trim out the house. So he's constantly going to the job site and asking, what do you need? Where are you doing? And so like, it's like, how like when you guys bake cookies or you make food with mom in the kitchen, like you're checking the recipe, you're reading the recipe, you check the oven, like you're constantly checking.
Yes.
You couldn't like put something in the oven and then go down to the park and play for a while. Like you kind of have to stay in the kitchen, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Mike has to sort of stay close to the house. That's also why we can't take on too many jobs, because if we take on too many jobs, Mike can't be at all those jobs,
Yes.
or I have to hire more people.
True. All right. What was your job before being a builder, if you had one?
Good question. So in middle school and high school, I had a lawn mowing business.
What did you call it?
I think I just called it Mark Williams Lawn Mowing. I had these little green cards. So like, like the paper slicer that you can
Yes.
cut. I think you have one at home. And so I just made these neon, it said professional lawnmower. And I would go hand it to people with my phone number. And I think actually it's my same phone number I have today. I've had that phone number for a long time. And I would, and Grandpa, we had a 3-acre yard. So our yard was really big. So I had a big riding lawnmower. And Grandpa said, as long as you mow our yard. And so that was just part of my chores.
Yep.
I didn't get paid to do that. But then I could use the lawnmower and go mow whoever else's yards I want. So Grandpa got me a trailer. And then eventually I had a truck in high school too. And it was actually, I co-owned it with Auntie Ashley. So I had my silver Jetta. And then we bought a Dodge, what was it? A Dodge, not a Durango. Anyway, a Dodge truck. I can't remember what kind of a model it was. And in the summertime, I would switch with Ashley. I would give Ashley my car and I would take the truck. And then the wintertime, Ashley would drive the truck. And so then I had something that could pull my lawnmower. But I just started at first just mowing all the
Neighbors' lawns,
neighbors'
like,
lawns. Then I didn't
on
need a
your
truck.
street? Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I should finish up. So then I went to college. I sold my lawn mowing business to somebody else. They bought it. And as I recall, I think they bought it for like $10,000. It wasn't a lot of money, but I mean, it was a lawn mowing business. So it was a pretty good deal. I mean, I didn't know what I was doing. I just, I used to have like this little piece of paper and I would write out how much they owed me and I'd either mail it to them or give it to them. And then they would just pay me, in cash or mostly cash or checks. And then I would pay for gas and oil changes and things like that. And then I sold the business and then it helped pay for my college. And then after that, I had a job for 1 year in sales. I had to wear a suit and tie, and I sold copiers. So I
cannot see you in a suit and a tie.
Yeah, me neither. So it was really hot and stuffy. I didn't like it. I should say I loved like learning some of the sales and like being in, I think it was just time, I was pretty young. I was 23 years old. Like I was a little baby. And so, it was like just learning to go meet with people, understand their business, calling on them. So I learned a lot about just like calling people, setting up appointments, like really coming up with like a process to the sales process. And then I got into building, and that's been 21 years of building.
21, that's a lot.
It is.
Let's see here. What do you do when you're not building?
Well, you know what I do when I'm not building. What am I doing when I'm not building?
I don't know when you're building and when you're not.
Okay, so I get up real early in the morning, as you know.
Yes.
So I like to go to the gym to work out, or in the summer times I run and bike a lot with Tony and all the other guys. And then at night, I always pick you guys up at school at 5. We have dinner at 5:30, and we play games at home, Battleship with the boys, Legos, take you to gymnastics and stuff like that. Sauna's pretty great. And then on the weekends, we go do fun stuff, and like we go on vacation, or we went camping this summer, or go to the lake, or, just do stuff. So that's what I do when I'm not working, I guess.
Did you want to be a builder since you were a kid, or did you, oh wait, never mind, you already answered that, but like, did you have any other dreams that you wanted?
You know what's funny? It's how Simon right now, because he's so good at Legos, he said he wanted to be an engineer. When I was a little kid, I wanted to be an astronaut or an engineer, but I wouldn't have been a very good engineer, because engineers have to be really focused on one thing for like study a problem, and it's I think you have to be good at math, and you really have to. And I have too many interests. Like I'm just too
can't focus on one thing for too long.
Right. Yeah. It's hard for me to do just one thing. I get bored.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. So I like to do a lot of things at the same time.
That makes sense.
All right, last.
I have two more.
Two more questions. Okay.
Do you and your teammates get along?
Yeah, we get along really good. I think this is the best team we've ever had. We did our company Christmas party a couple weeks ago, and it was really fun to see everybody. And then the next week, I did everyone's interviews. So twice a year, I get them together in my office, and I just ask them like, what's going. It's like how you could do a report card for school. Mm-hmm. I just kind of give them a report card, like, what are we doing well? Do you feel like you're valued? What do you think the camaraderie or the team chemistry is? And they agree with me. I think this is the best our team has actually ever been in our history. So we have a really good team. We're really diverse. Everyone's a little bit different. So I think it's important that people on your team can do different things. You know how it's hard for me to stay focused on one thing all the time.
Yes, I do.
Like you've met Joel before.
Mm-hmm, I think so.
Yeah. So he manages all our money. He's really good at it. Right. And so he's really good at staying focused on the dollars. And Mikey is really calm and really good at, being at the job site every day. And he's just kind of a steady Eddie. He's just really constant, which is really amazing. Clients love him. And Angie's really detailed. So I call her my little unicorn. You and her, I got you both that unicorn sticker because like a unicorn is like a magical being. Like she can do everything. So she can do estimating. She can do like engineering. She can do coordinating. She does all our client agendas, and she's just a great human being. So it's kind of fun. So we have a great team.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. And our last closer is, do you get along with your clients?
That is a good question, May. Yes, I do. I'm very thankful for our clients, because we couldn't do any of this without our clients, right? So everything in this office right here, the clients pay us, and we do excellent work. but they're trusting us they give us their money, and they trust us to build a home. And our reputation, because we've been doing this for, over 2 decades, they know that we're going to stand behind our product. And we've always had a really good reputation on doing really good things. But sometimes not every client, how like at school, not everyone in your class is your best friend, right?
Yes.
And you can get along with most people, but sometimes like there's a bully, right?
So like with your clients, do you ever get frustrated, or like do they like sort of,
For sure. Yeah. Everyone who owns a business can relate to that. That's a good question, May. Yeah, I definitely can get frustrated with clients sometimes. I think the hardest ones is like, we try so hard to do a good job and our team is so conscientious. It's like, if you did the best you could to make me a birthday card and then you gave it to me and I just like threw it away and was like, I don't like that, May.
Yeah.
But how would that make you feel?
Not the greatest.
Yeah. And so that's kind of like, we try really, really hard. We're not perfect, but we try. Our team is really hardworking and we do good work. Mm-hmm. And sometimes clients get frustrated, but it's kind of like, remember what we told you about bullies? Sometimes we don't know what's happening in their house or with their family or what they're feeling. So sometimes a bully at school, the way they talk to you might really be how someone's talking to them. And so I try to be patient. Sometimes the clients are, maybe if they're not very nice or they're not very patient, I have to be professional and I still have to be kind, even if they're mean. Yeah. Or if they lose their patience, I sometimes will just say, let's take a little break. Let's talk about this at our next meeting. Mm-hmm. Listening to them is probably the most important thing. And just listening and say like, okay, all right, May, tell me what's the problem. What am I doing that isn't making you happy? How can we do a better job? Because most of the time clients just want to know that they're heard. Mm-hmm. And so, but the most frustrating thing is when how like you kind of get upset when mom repeats herself to you.
Yes.
And I do too. But honestly, that goes for anyone. Like if you have to repeat yourself, it's frustrating for the person who hears it, but it's also frustrating for the person who says it, right? Like today, you guys were a little rambunctious today, right? How many times did I have to tell you guys to calm down? 20 times, a lot. But my point is like, you didn't like hearing it. I didn't like saying it. So I think both parties can get kind of frustrated with each other. And that's just part of it. You got to work through it, because there are plenty of times where I've told clients things and it's just like they don't hear what I'm saying. And it's frustrating because then they'll come back to me and then the very thing I told them, that's the thing that they're like, well, why, like maybe there's a delay in the schedule. And I'll maybe tell them like, hey, we've had some weather delays. It's -20 for a week or something. Do you want to work outside when it's -20? And if you keep saying the same thing over and over again, but they don't hear you, sometimes you have to change how you present it because they're just not listening.
All right. There you have it, folks.
Christmas special?
Yeah, Christmas special. And wait, what's the
Oh yeah, the thing. All right. Well, thanks. This episode airs on Christmas.
Oh, yep.
So anything you want to say to anyone's and all their families on Christmas?
Merry Christmas and have a holly jolly Christmas.
Very good. Thanks for tuning in to the Curious Builder podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Toodaloo.
Toodaloo.
Thanks for tuning in to the Curious Builder podcast. If you like this episode, do us a favor. Share it with 3 other business owners. The best way that we can spread what we're doing is by word of mouth, and with your help, we can continue to help other curious builders expand their business. Please share it with your friends, like and review online, and thanks again for tuning in.